Hello again and welcome back to another one, and today our S-rank lyricist broke down his thoughts on the Eminem narrative that's been going around that looks to be getting molded in the minds of people on social media, something I've highlighted on this channel several times. The false narratives often peddled by the LSM, and great rappers are beginning to notice the negativity. I'll also be covering some new developments in this one, and if you're here for the first time, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and find me on social media at ETLifestyle_web. So first of all, Eminem has revealed that Godzilla will feature in the video game UFC 4 coming out later this year, and this follows the pattern since Godzilla was already used to promote a UFC fight earlier this year. And we move on to the main point of this video. Check this out and I'll break down why Crook felt the need to step in.
A couple days ago I saw a tweet, right? I started seeing people that I was following retweeting this particular tweet. You know what I'm saying? And people that are verified with big platforms spreading this tweet around. Now the tweet, and this ain't verbatim, had something to do with a question asking if we erased or got rid of Marshall Mathers, Eminem's entire discography right now, would hip-hop be affected?
There's a lot of impressionable people on social media, and recently there's been a lot of discussions about Eminem's discography floating around for obvious reasons, and here's an example of what Crook was talking about. Someone yesterday said that if you took away Eminem's entire discography, it wouldn't affect hip-hop. I want to hear your thoughts on that, and some responses under this are mind-blowing to say the least. For instance, a user puts club hits and substance in the same tweet. No substance doesn't really have any head nod bangers, no club hits, no I wouldn't miss Marshall at all. Another example, his content didn't have any major impact on the culture. It didn't create any new slang or fashion trends. He just rapped real good for an MC who happened to be Lightshade.
I was surprised that so many people said that we could do away with Eminem's whole catalog and the game, and it wouldn't affect the hip-hop game whatsoever. That's crazy.
Now these are just some of the ridiculous takes, poorly researched points to downplay Eminem's impact, so you should understand why Crook felt the need to jump in on this topic.
Now these people aren't experts. Like I said, they're just verified accounts with big platforms, but that's where it starts. That's where you start normalizing. You know what I mean? People with big platforms start saying certain shit, and it becomes something normal to say.
Crook even highlighted the new wave of Eminem hate and the timeline it went into Overdrive.
It started to seem as if somebody had an agenda to try to push him out the culture. And I noticed this like in 2018, you know what I mean? 2019.
And if you've been following this channel, you know that I've explained several times how it went into overdrive after Revival dropped in 2017 December. So Crook isn't wrong on that one, and on this channel I often cover the biased LSM coverage of Eminem, and who can forget that Eminem's associate aided in spreading this in Revival's era regarding Untouchable, for instance. That button described in a hyperbolic manner stating it is trash, one of the worst songs he's ever heard, and right now he wonders why Eminem would stop dissing him. Now when it comes to Eminem's impact, Crook highlighted an important point about the ripple effect of Eminem's impact for the likes of 50 Cent and even Dr. Dre.
Me being on my guardian and seeing that people are attacking Marshall's legacy, I gotta say something. Now we could go down a hypothetical rabbit hole real quick and say, okay, where does that put 50 Cent if there's no Eminem? You feel me? We could say, you know, Dr. Dre, who of course was already Dr. Dre.
In my last video, I even pointed out how 50 Cent bodied a fan that tried to come for Eminem on his Instagram after he dissed El Jamar for running his mouth. He's forever grateful, and Dr. Dre was already one of the greatest of all time, but he was walking on thin ice at that time after leaving Death Row, and this is a quote from Dr. Dre on the Defiant Ones on Netflix. The records I'd done at the time didn't work, they wanted me out the building. And Dre added, both of us were in really bad situations. Jimmy was the only one that backed Dre, but even Jimmy wouldn't have been able to save Dre from getting axed if Eminem failed, and Dre risked his career to bet it all on Eminem, and this was a classic case of the higher the risk, the higher the return. And when it comes to hip-hop internationally, Crook highlights that Eminem isn't the first or last to blow up internationally, but he's been extremely important for hip-hop.
But he did help expand the reach of rap music. He just did. He brought more fans to the table. And you got to give him his respect for bringing those fans to the table. He brought more fans to the table.
Now, Crook is right, Eminem is not the first to make it big internationally, and as hip-hop songs go, I remember songs like Gangsta's Paradise. It was the first hip-hop song to end a calendar year internationally as the top song in the world in '95. I'm talking across all genres of music. The song went platinum in the UK, for instance, in '96, years before the digital sales era began. But Eminem expanded this international audience. Just take a look at his international certifications that goes far and wide to countries like Japan and Korea, and how 50 Cent benefited from this too.
Being in connection to M, I said it openly, right? I don't think you sell 13 million records without Eminem.
And Crook doesn't forget to stress on Eminem's importance from a writer's perspective, moments after mentioning great artists today that are loved by fans that all claim Eminem was a major influence, like Kendrick, J. Cole, and many others.
From a writer's perspective, my perspective, if you delete Eminem's entire discography, you are erasing a master class on lyricism and how to write. The next generation of writers, hip-hop writers.
Eminem's influence goes beyond hip-hop. I covered an example about Usher recently on this channel.
You set the trend with that Confessions album of being one of the most transparent artists in history.
Yeah.
I
have Eminem to thank for that.
So props to Crook for stepping in. Now that this is getting out of hand, my channel is not there yet to take on the false narratives on a mainstream level, so this was a breath of fresh air, and I'd love to know your thoughts on these. Tell us below, like and subscribe if you haven't, and see you on the next one.